They spent nights talking, about the past, about business, about ideas. One evening, she brought her laptop to the table. "Look," she said, "you can't restart Mensah Exports now, but what about an online logistics consultancy? People need advice, shipping laws, port clearances, procurement tips. You could charge small fees for packages and trainings." He blinked. "That could work. I'll help with the website," she smiled. "I learned a bit of design last year." Then she added, almost shyly, "And I have some money saved." "Not much. About GHC 15,000. I was going to buy a plot back home, but I want to give you GHC 5,000 as a loan. For the business." Kwame stood frozen. "Amma, that's your life savings." "And you're the only reason I even have savings," she replied softly. "Please, let me do this." He lowered his head and wept silently, not from pain but from awe. In a world that had turned its back on him, she had opened her door. And for the first time in months, hope stirred again in Kwame Mensah's chest. The consultancy started slowly. Amma built a simple website using a free template. She even created a logo, Mensah Logistics Advisory. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. Kwame spent hours writing down everything he knew: shipping routes, customs clearance protocols, risk management, dealing with port authorities. Years of experience poured onto digital paper. They created small downloadable guides, then offered Zoom consultations for small business owners who wanted to import goods into Ghana. At first, only 2 clients came. But then, one of them shared his guide in a Facebook business group. Another left a glowing review on LinkedIn. By the end of the second month, they had 15 clients and requests coming from Kenya, Nigeria, and even the UK. A small stream of money began to flow in. Not the millions he was used to, but enough to make rent. Enough to buy groceries without counting coins. But something else was happening, too. Something softer, slower, deeper. Kwame began to see Amma differently. It wasn't about her kindness anymore, or how she saved him when no one else did. It was the way she listened, really listened, when he talked about his fears. How she laughed from the belly, how she sang off-key when she was washing dishes. How she wore her hair in a giant puff on Sundays and tied it up in scarves during the week. One night, she brought him a mug of hot Milo and sat beside him on the couch. "Do you ever think about her?" she asked gently. He didn't have to ask who she meant. He sighed. "I think about how I failed her. How I wasn't enough." Amma turned toward him. "No, Kwame. She failed you. She walked away when love was supposed to be tested. She wanted riches, not partnership." He looked at her, really looked at her, bare skin glowing under the warm light, soft eyes brimming with sincerity. "You're wrong," he said. Amma tilted her head. "About what?" "I didn't lose everything." "Not really. Because you were always there. Even when I didn't see you." She smiled gently. "Well, I saw you. Always did." Kwame reached out slowly and took her hand. For a long moment, neither of them said a word. They didn't call it love, not yet. But the way she adjusted his tie before he met with a new investor, the way he brought her pastries from that little shop near Circle, the way they started praying together in the mornings. It was love in a language neither of them had spoken before. Not flashy, not loud, but steady, sacred. By month 4, Mensah Logistics Advisory had 30 clients and counting. A radio station invited Kwame to speak on business reinvention. He wore a simple shirt Amma had picked out for him and sounded like the man he used to be, except wiser, hungrier, humbled. After the interview, a woman from a local trade organization reached out with a proposal: help them train 50 young entrepreneurs on navigating export systems. Kwame read the email in silence, then called out, "Amma." She appeared at the door, holding a plate of fried yam. He looked at her with tears in his eyes. "They want me. They want me again." She smiled, walked over, and hugged him. "They never stopped needing you. They just forgot. Now it's time they remember." But not everything was behind them. There were still debts he hadn't cleared. His ex-wife was spotted on social media with a new man, an oil tycoon in Dubai. His father still hadn't called. But Kwame no longer felt like a man at the end of his story. Now, he was a man in the middle of a comeback, with someone beside him who believed even when he couldn't. Business had started to take off in ways Kwame never imagined. Clients were coming in from all over Africa, Kenya, Uganda, even Egypt. He secured partnerships with small logistics firms in Togo and Benin. He hired 2 staff members and moved out of Ama's apartment into a modest 2-bedroom place nearby. Ama still cooked for him most evenings, and he still insisted on washing the dishes. But then it all started to go wrong again. Clients began pulling out of deals for reasons that made no sense. Emails went unanswered. One of his shipments was inexplicably delayed at the port for weeks. A major deal with a South African textile importer vanished overnight after they'd nearly signed. He sat on the edge of his desk one night, head in hands, heart aching. "Not again," he muttered. "God, please, not again." Ama walked in holding 2 mugs of tea and saw the despair in his eyes. "Kwame," she said slowly, "this isn't just coincidence." He looked up, defeated. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying it smells like foul play. And I think it's time we take this to someone who can see what we can't." The pastor was a calm man with kind eyes and a steady presence. During the one-on-one session, he looked at Kwame for a long while, then closed his eyes and prayed silently. When he opened them, his tone changed. "You've been under attack," he said, "but not by strangers." Kwame blinked. "What do you mean?" "There's someone very close to you. Blood. Older. Someone who once carried you, but now carries resentment." Ama gasped softly. Kwame felt his world spin. The pastor continued, "Your father, he tied your destiny. Out of jealousy. Out of fear of being outshined. He used charms, deep ones. But God is stronger." Kwame sat frozen, the words hitting him like a whip. His father. His own father. The pastor laid hands on him and prayed with power and authority. The room shook with the weight of deliverance. Kwame wept for the pain, the betrayal, the release. When he stood up, something had lifted. That night, he gave his life fully to Christ. The days that followed were a blur of change. Ama stood by him like a pillar. When he doubted, she reminded him who he was. When he hesitated, she prayed with him. He poured himself into the business, but this time with a stronger foundation, faith. A month later, a client from Morocco reached out, referred by someone Kwame had consulted months ago. They wanted to partner with him to handle logistics for their new line of electronics being shipped into West Africa. The deal was big, multi-million Sadie's big. He negotiated smartly, wisely, prayerfully, and he sealed the deal. Soon he was featured in Forbes Africa Under Top 10 African Business Comebacks. His consultancy expanded to include 10 staff. He launched a mentorship program for underprivileged youth interested in trade and logistics. He gave back because now he understood what it meant to lose everything. His love with Ama had deepened into something sacred. They hadn't rushed into anything, but he knew he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. Then came the call. He hadn't heard from his family in months. Not his mother, not even his beloved sister. When he saw her name flash across his screen, his heart thumped. "Mama! Kwame, please come home," she said, her voice tight with emotion. "Your father, he's very sick. He has something to say." Ama sat beside him after he hung up. "Go," she said gently. "To err is human. To forgive is divine." The house looked smaller than he remembered. His father was frail, barely able to sit up. The proud, brash man who once dismissed his pain now looked like a whisper of himself. "Kwame," his father rasped, "I did you wrong." Kwame stood quietly. "I saw your success, and something twisted in me. I was ashamed, jealous. You surpassed me, and instead of being proud, I let darkness into my heart. I cursed you." Tears streamed down his mother's face. His sister stood silently behind her. Ama stepped forward, calm but resolute. Children are supposed to surpass their parents. That's the sign you raise them well. That's legacy. His father coughed violently, then nodded slowly. "I'm sorry, son. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm asking anyway." Kwame walked over. He knelt beside the bed, took his father's thin hand, and said softly, "I forgive you. Fully. May God show you mercy like he did me." A faint smile crossed his father's lips. By morning, he was gone. After his father's death, Ama didn't just return home with Kwame. She returned as a quiet strength that upheld his family through their grief. She helped cook and clean without being asked, prayed with his mother every morning, and stayed beside his sister while she wept for their father. Kwame's mother, Mama Aba, took her hand one afternoon after church and smiled. My son has made many mistakes, but choosing you was not one of them. You're a keeper, Amma. A true Proverbs 31 woman. He'd better marry you before someone else does. Kwame heard those words, and that very evening he proposed under the mango tree in Mama Aba's backyard, using a ring that once belonged to his grandmother. Amma said yes through tears. They were happy, radiantly, divinely happy. Business exploded. Kwame was now shipping across continents. He got invited to speak at trade conferences in London and Kigali. Old friends came slithering back with smiles and apologies, and though he forgave, he kept them all at a distance. Amma remained his anchor, praying, believing, managing, and standing firm. Life was good. God had restored him, twice as much, just as he did with Job. Then came the storm. It was on a humid Thursday when he saw Esi, his ex-wife, standing outside his office in tears. Kwame, please. I made a mistake. I've missed you. I miss us. Kwame was blindsided. He still remembered the pain of her letter, the coldness with which she left. But a part of him hadn't fully healed, and those old feelings stirred. They talked once, then twice. He didn't tell Amma. Not yet. But the secret didn't stay buried. Amma ran into Abina at the mall. What started as an awkward silence turned into a venomous outburst. You think you've won? You homewrecker. Esi snapped. That's my husband. He still loves me. He told me. He's coming home. Amma stood frozen, heart-cracking. That night, she confronted Kwame. He said nothing. Not a word. Just sat there, his face a confusing mask of shame and silence. She cried herself to sleep that night, and he sat there in the dark, staring at the wall, drowning in guilt. His sister, Adwoa, met him the next day. He tried to explain his confusion. Confused, she snapped. You want to choose the woman who watched you rot in poverty like a stranger? The one who left you with nothing but shame. He tried to respond. She cut him off. You see that woman you married, Amma? She pulled you out of the pit. She gave you a home. Fed you. Prayed for you. Helped you rebuild your business. Helped you get delivered from Daddy's evil. And you're confused. You can't force love, he mumbled weakly. Then why did you marry her? Adwoa spat. Let me tell you something. That woman is your pillar. Without her faith in God, you are nothing. Leave her. Let her go so her grace can shine, just like Jesus when Judas betrayed him. She stood, furious. You don't deserve her. Then she left him in his shame. Kwame met up with Abina one last time. Tell me the truth, he said, staring into her eyes. Why did you leave me? Did you ever love me? Or was it always about the money? She fumbled, stuttered, gave half-baked answers, and couldn't meet his eyes. Kwame stood. I thought I was confused, but now I know I was just tested. He looked her dead in the eye. Amma saved my life. She believed when no one did. She's the reason I'm still standing. And I choose her. Fully. Forever. Then he walked out of her life, for good. That night, he returned home with flowers and gifts. He dropped to his knees before Amma. I failed you, he whispered. But I see now. God didn't just save me, he used you to do it. You are the reason I'm here. Forgive me, Amma. Please. Amma wept as she nodded and pulled him into a hug. I forgive you, Kwame, she whispered. And I have something to tell you. She took his hand and placed it over her belly. I'm pregnant. Kwame froze, eyes wide. Then he laughed, a full, broken, joyful laugh, and hugged her tighter than ever. A few weeks later, he threw her a grand birthday celebration. He stood before a room filled with their friends and business associates and raised a glass. I stand here today as a man who's been broken, lost, ashamed. But God sent me an angel. Amma, you didn't just give me shelter, you gave me purpose. You gave me faith when I had none. You loved me back to life. You are my restorer, my strength, my helper. And I vow never to forget that again. They say behind every great man is a woman, but for me, you're not behind me. You are beside me. And I thank God every day for the grace He gave me when He gave me you. As she blew out her candles, Kwame took her hand and whispered, Job 42:10. And the Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. She smiled and whispered back, Double for your trouble, my love. And in that moment, amid laughter, tears, and praise, they knew the storm had passed. They were whole again. The end.